What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Jump. Keke Wyatt is a very talented writer, singer. Once she sung gospel, and very, very talented from what I understand, and people really like her a whole lot. Now she's also been on reality shows and things like that, but Keke Wyatt has had a very interesting relationship life. She once stabbed a husband out of self-defense. She's been married and divorced a few times. One was with an ordained minister. Okay. Now, at the time that she got with the ordained minister, she had at least 6 children. Now, she's gotten with the young man by the name of Darring, and Mr. Darring married her. He's a childhood ex-boyfriend. She had 8 kids at that time. They have now 2 together, making 10. So 3 different marriages, 10 kids. And oh, by the way, give me some celebration music, Dima. She's pregnant with number 11. Keep me dancing in the background, Dima. Give a round of applause. So you're very, very active in the bedroom and very active in your professional life. That's interesting. How do you have 11 kids so fast? And that's kind of like how people used to have kids back in the 1900s. But I want to talk about this because in the Black American community, where we're talking about bringing Black women and Black men together, there's some people who believe in polygamy. We know a lot of women don't want to deal with that or be a second wife. But then there's a lot of women in the Black community who are out there actively dating and mating, wanting high value Black men. And they're in a predicament such as Keke Wyatt. Now, I'm not saying they have 10 kids going to number 11. I'm saying that you have kids and then you're looking for somebody to marry. Keke Wyatt was at least lucky in her situation. She's had 3 marriages, 2 divorces, a guy who's accepting her for all her kids. I also believe that has to do with who she is and maybe who she can link to. But again, everything is about who you know in life. It is about who you're connected to. My issue is for women who may be in a, similar or drastically different situation to her, who will marry them? Because there's an article that I'm going to talk about here later where they say that single women are at risk in today's American economy. And we're not even talking about America. So if it's a risk in America, the same must be true for what we know in Europe, in London, UK. We don't even want to talk about Africa because it's going to be, the continent is going to be even much worse. But if we're dealing with that, the reality is if you're unlucky, if you're lucky like Keke Wyatt, how many guys will deal with a woman that has multiple kids or multiple men? That's the question. And a lot of times we look at people like Sierra, we look at people like Keke Wyatt, and then women be like, oh, there's hope. It is hope depending on who you know. That's what I will tell you. I can't come out with, let's say, the Kevin Samuels, oh yeah, it's pretty much over. Because usually that's the case 98% of the time. But depending on who you know, depending on what your network is, you may be able to still do pretty well. That's the reality, depending on who you know and what industry that you're in and how good you look. Those are factors that can help you out. But the question is, for the average Black woman in Black America, how many guys are going to come in that are going to say, I want to marry you and your 8 kids? I want to do that. That used to happen a lot in the South. My grandmother on my father's side died last year. She was from Natchitoches, Louisiana, and she had 5 kids and a man wanted to marry her. That was quite common in that time. Men didn't really look at women and say, well, you have kids that can't really marry you. It was kind of because everybody was kind of living in a more communal environment in the Black South. People kind of operated more or less that way. It's much different today because now, with expenses on the rise and with child support and things like that, people are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, she has a kid? That's what people are asking now. A lot of families from well-to-do environments are going to say, hey, wait, she has children. Are you sure you don't want to marry somebody that don't have their own kids? Same thing with Black women. If a family is a very powerful family, or a family is doing very well, what are you going to tell? What are you going to say? You're going to say what? Hey, listen, this young lady you're dating, or this young man you're dating, he has children. Like you have the ability to find somebody else who doesn't have that issue. And see, this is the issue here. We're going to come back and talk about this. many guys that have very good, valuable assets and wealth are going to have too many opportunities. And I'm not talking down on this particular guy, Zachariah Darring, or Mr. Darring, whatever his name is. I don't know him. But let's just say, for example, what kind of guy do you think would take on such a responsibility? Now, I know some of our kids can be grown or can be a little bit older, but some of them are still in the house. He's playing stepdaddy to those kids. Who would do that? I will tell you that on average, what guy will do that? A guy who is not so financially stable and so ambitious. That's who it is, okay? And I think what's happening right now, if you look at Kevin Samuel's show and looking at Black America, what you're seeing is this. I want to be real. What you're seeing is this. What you're seeing is a lot of ladies come out and do what? You're asking for the top guy who makes a lot of money, a guy who has, you know, maybe a professional degree, a guy who has a really nice business, and a guy who understands like, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to just deal in my city anymore, because now guys can date anywhere. With jobs going as to how they are, you can have a girlfriend in New York and you can easily pull from that market and bring her back to Cali, or you can move yourself. So, or you can, or across the world, depending on what your industry is. It's easier now, and it's more competition. And for the ladies who already have children, the likelihood of a guy who is really worth a lot of money and really have a lot of money, he's not gonna want to sign up for, hey, I want to be your stepdad kid to 7 kids, which is the reason why she married her childhood ex-boyfriend. Probably, do you want to know why? Why she didn't marry her road manager? Why? When she's 18, she married Ramont Morton, her road manager. In other words, look, Zachariah, hey, you're not who I want you to be right now. I'm gonna get my road manager because he's the better option than you. All right? Then Mr. Michael Jamar Ford, he was a minister who was on her reality show. But it wasn't until I feel that her options dried up, okay, let's go back to the first guy who really loved me, because that guy wasn't her first and second choice. It's okay. Possibly what I'm saying here is, after I have all these kids, all right, I'll be with you now. That's typically how it works. Nobody wants to talk about that. Guys who have a lot of options are already gone, usually. Okay, it's how it works. Guy who has shit together, he's a hot commodity anywhere in the world. He gets more opportunities than women do, for sure. I don't care how ugly he is, how short he is, if he's even decent looking, the guy is almost for sure gone. For the most part, those guys don't stay on the market very long. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I already appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment pinned to the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.